So we're all very, very familiar with Donald Trump's lack of diplomatic skill, but today we have a story that takes this to a new level that actually seems almost satirical, but in a way it's a refreshing sort of reality that tells us something arguably positive about Donald Trump. And since these things are so few and far between, I do want to pay some special attention to it. You'll remember that not long ago, the G7 was held in Biarritz, France, and we covered all of the comings and goings. And one of the things that we're now learning about are the details of a meeting that Donald Trump was going to have with the Egyptian president, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. And according to the Wall Street Journal, per multiple people in the room, Donald Trump arrived looking around for el-Sisi and called out, "Where's my favorite dictator?" which resulted in what was described as stunned silence in the room, apparently a joke. One set of reactions was, it's not really a joke. Donald Trump loves dictators, or at least he loves authoritarians. This includes his praise of Kim Jong-un, Erdogan, Xi, Putin, Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Duterte, etc. He's just saying, this guy is my favorite dictator. I love dictators, and this guy's my favorite dictator. The argument over whether it is a joke, though, I think is the wrong one. This is an extreme example of a clueless person not knowing how politics is done. Yeah, it's more of the same total lack of decorum and diplomacy that Donald Trump brings to everything that he does because he's just ignorant to all of it. But there is a way in which I'm actually relieved to hear Donald Trump call one of these authoritarians a dictator, even if it's not literally the truth. And I'll explain why in a second. Now, on the facts, is el-Sisi a dictator? He is often called a dictator. He's certainly an authoritarian. He gives the military unchecked power. He overthrew a democratically elected president in 2013 in a coup to take power. He's killed hundreds of protesters. He's imprisoned tens of thousands of dissidents of different kinds. There are allegations of torture, of disappearing journalists and activists, and allegations of abduction. I mean, really just horrible, terrible, terrible stuff. And he is a violent authoritarian, if not a dictator. Now, the reason I find this refreshing in some way from Donald Trump is Trump's already thrown decorum out the window. He's thrown diplomacy out the window. Who cares about that? This is just one more example. And what is one more instance of that at this point in time? I am glad that Donald Trump called something, at least by what it might be, if not literally a dictator, a dictatorial authoritarian, el-Sisi. When it comes to these authoritarian strongmen, I would prefer that Donald Trump call them what they are, or at least something closer to what they are, instead of merely praising them and placating them and working to please them and complimenting them. He has already done it with el-Sisi. Back in 2017, he talked about el-Sisi's doing a great job and made all sorts of just completely outrageous statements that ignore the endless human rights abuses that we've seen there. So is it embarrassing for Donald Trump to walk into a room and say, "Where's my favorite dictator?" Of course it's embarrassing. Is it hilariously undecorous, if that's a word? Of course it is. But evidence that Trump recognizes dictators for what they are, authoritarians for what they are, is slightly positive. Is this actual praise of Donald Trump big picture? Of course it's not. But it arguably, in a way, it actually makes his praise of authoritarian dictatorial types even worse. It would be one thing if Trump doesn't recognize that that's what they are and just kind of likes the fact that he sees them as strong figures, Putin, Duterte, all of them. It's in a sense worse if he recognizes that they are dictatorial authoritarians and still praises them, but he's at least calling things closer to what they are. So big picture, it's not like I like Trump now, but I respect the fact that he actually entered the room and yelled this out, even if it is completely outrageous diplomatically, because it confirms that Trump recognizes these people for what they are. The fact that he likes them signals a problem with his moral compass, and the moral compass of Trump is what we'll talk about next. But in a sense, he is not as disconnected from reality as maybe we thought at the end of last week. If I'm missing this, if my take on this misses something else, let me know. But I actually found it refreshing to hear Donald Trump refer to el-Sisi at least by something closer to what he is, rather than just a great leader, the way Donald Trump refers to most of these dictatorial authoritarians. Let me know what you think.